let's get to know France after World War II in political and economic sectors.
World War II began when Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939, driven by a desire to avenge its defeat in World War I. In response to this invasion, France, honoring its treaty obligations and facing the growing threat of Nazi Germany, declared war on Germany on September 3rd, 1939. In early 1940, the conflict entered a period known as the Phony War, the quiet early period of World War II after Britain and France declared war on Germany, marked by little major fighting on the Western Front despite the official state of war. However, in May 1940, Germany launched a massive invasion to France. Unable to withstand the attack, France surrendered in June 1940, and much of its territory was occupied by German forces. France remained under occupation for about 4 years. In 1944, with strong support from the United States and the United Kingdom, Allied forces launched the D-Day invasion on the Normandy coast. This operation became a major turning point in the war and led to the liberation of France, retaking France's territory that had been seized by Germany. This attack is also considered a turning point against the Axis powers consisting of Germany, Japan, and Italy, which ultimately led to the conquest of Germany in the city of Berlin, aided by the USSR from the east. Germany lost unconditionally and agreed to build the Berlin Wall, bringing the World War II in Europe to an end.
After France's victory over Germany's unconditional surrender, France experienced post-war devastation and decline in almost all aspects. Starting with the political sphere, where France experienced a crisis of state legitimacy, such as France's defeat and occupation by Nazi Germany in 1940 until 1944, which damaged the country's image as a major power, followed by governmental instability. After liberation 1944, France entered a period of political transition marked by numerous political parties with conflicting ideologies such as communist, socialist, liberal, Christian, Democrat. This was because each political party in France had equal strength, leading to frequent change in French prime minister. The birth of Fourth Republic in 1946, characterized by a weak parliamentary system and frequent government collapses, and the last being presence of Cold War ideological pressures, such as French Communist Party being very strong after the war. The US and its allies were concerned that France would fall under influence of the Uni-Soviet and internal tension between the Western and Eastern blocs. Next, we head from the economic field, where France experienced destruction and decline in production, such as steel, coal, and manufacturing being damaged, and machines being destroyed or obsolete. Agricultural production decreased due to damaged land, labor shortage, and a lack of fertilizer and modern tools. Then, there was a country's financial crisis, such as high inflation, the weakening of the franc, a sharp increase in national debt, and a large budget deficit due to war and reconstruction costs. After that, France also experienced a shortage of basic goods, and the French people faced food scarcity and a thriving black market. Finally, there was external dependence, where France was heavily reliant on imports of raw materials and foreign aid, especially the Marshall Plan, because without US assistance, economic recovery would have been very slow.
After that, the French government had two goals. The first one is to stabilize politics, and the second one is to revive the economy. The program did not run smoothly in the political sector because every political party in France had equal strength, resulting in frequent changes of French prime ministers. In stark contrast to the French economic sector, which actually managed to recover after the Second World War, with the Monnet Plan, or the official name for it is the Plan de Modernisation et d'Equipement, proposed by Jean Monnet. The Monnet Plan was a post-World War II economic development and modernization plan aimed to restoring national industry and strengthening French economic position in Europe. Jean Monnet implemented this program, focusing on industrial sectors that had almost immediate impact on recovery. Besides the Monnet Plan, there was a United States program called the Marshall Plan, officially known as the European Recovery Program, or ERP, proposed by George C. Marshall. And this program also was US economic aid to help Western Europe to recover after the Second World War, or starting from the period of 1947 until 1951. Transition from French Fourth to Fifth Republic was a regime change caused by deep structural weaknesses rather than a simple constitutional reform. The parliamentary system of the Fourth Republic, designed after World War II to prevent authoritarianism, weaken executive power, and produce chronic instability through fragmented parties and fragile coalitions. These weaknesses became critical during decolonization, especially the Algerian conflict, which the Fourth Republic proved unable to manage. The crisis peaked in 1958 with military unrest in Algeria threatening a coup and undermining civilian authority. In response, Charles de Gaulle returned to power and led the creation of the 1958 Constitution, which strengthened the executive, particularly the presidency, while remaining democratic. The Fifth Republic brought political stability and enabled decisive action, including Algerian independence, establishing a system that continues to shape French politics today.
The program impacted the recovery of France after World War II. The Monet Plan focused on modernizing and regulating resources such as electricity, coal, and steel, and involved representatives from business, labor, unions, and government to achieve stable economic planning targets. Meanwhile, the Marshall Plan, initiated by George Marshall with the help of $3 billion in funding from the United States, began in 1948 and lasted until 1951, focusing on lending funds to restore the industrial sector. Both plans were interconnected. The Monet Plan received financial assistance from the Marshall Plan, enabling France to utilize these resources to stimulate economic growth, which triggered the resurgence of France and Europe. De Gaulle formed a constitutional committee on June 4, 1958, which drafted a semi-presidential constitution in a short period of time. This draft was approved by the Provisional Parliament and ratified by the people through a national referendum on September 28, 1958, with 79.2% support. The official constitution was adopted on October 4, 1958, followed by parliamentary elections in December 1958 and the indirect election of de Gaulle as president on December 21st. The new system reduced cabinet turnover from 24 times in 12 years, or Fourth Republic, to long term, thanks to strong presidents such as de Gaulle, who controlled the military and foreign policy, preventing crises such as the 1958 Algerian coup. As a result, France completed decolonization with a 1962 referendum, strengthening national unity and European influence.
In 1950, Robert Schuman, the French foreign minister, initiated the idea of ECSC based on Jean Monnet's plan. Jean Monnet has been developing the idea since April 1950 to integrate the coal and steel between France and Germany to prevent war. Robert Schuman invited other European countries to join the Supernatural High Authority. This declaration triggered a conference in Paris in 1950, named the Treaty of Paris, which was ratified on April 18, 1951 by 6 countries: France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. This program became effective on July 23, 1952, enabling the trade in coal and steel through common tariff and modernizing the industry. This program also led the significant increase in steel production. Because ECSC program was successful, the founding countries formed a new community to continue the ECSC dominance. In 1955, a meeting was held to expand economic integration across all sectors. This idea was proposed by the Belgian foreign minister to establish a common market and an autonomic community, Euratom. This idea was proposed in Rome in 1957 by the 6 founding countries. This program implements a policy to create a common market that does not apply tariff to trade, which has caused trade between member states to surge by 200 and 300%. This mark was the beginning of the creation of EU.